Put 2 eggs and just cover them with vinegar. There's lots of those bubbles of carbon dioxide, scrape whole layers very clear, and you can probably just see a bit of the yolk. So it's not often you see a bouncing egg. It's actually quite tough. And just to take this investigation one step further, I've made up a salty solution of salty water there, and this one's just a plain fresh water. I'm going to put these egg membranes, one in the plain fresh water. It sinks, makes a funny shape too, another story. And this one floats because it's in the salty solution there. So I'm going to leave them for a couple of days and see what it looks like after that. So this is after 2 days in that salt water solution. This was the salty one, that was the fresh one. A few things I've observed. One is that the shape seems to have changed. The egg seems to have taken on the shape of its container. Secondly, you seem to be able to see the egg yolk better in this one, the saltwater one, than the freshwater one. And thirdly, the egg yolk seems to have gone right up to the top, where it's over here, it seems to be still in the same place. Now this one, it did actually float at the top, and the egg yolk seemed to float in the top of the album as well. The other thing I observed that after a day or so, the egg had sunk in, so I was wondering if it absorbed a fair bit of the salt from that salty water and then became heavier and denser than the actual water and then fell down to the bottom. That's my thoughts about that, but let's take them out and have a look. So there's our 2 samples out of the solution. This has been in the salty water, it's been in the fresh water, and I just put an egg beside them to show you how much these have swollen up. This was the one that sort of changed its shape. It's still got its egg sort of shape. So that's one that's been in the salty water, and you can see that the egg has gone to one end and stayed there. It hasn't stayed in the centre, and it's become a little bit more see-through. I wouldn't quite call it transparent, but a more technical term might be translucent, which means it lets some light through, but not all the light through, like a transparent glass, for example. And this is the one that was just in water, plain fresh water. It's nowhere near as transparent. You can hardly see the egg yolk in there, and not much change from as it was before. So there's a comparison between the two, and I was noticing that the yolk does move around. If you move it from one way to another, the yolk does bounce around with it from top to bottom, so it does move around quite a bit inside there, which you can't quite see that so much in this one. So that's down the rabbit hole of calcium carbonate and the chemical reaction that happens when eggshells dissolve in vinegar and lets off a bit of a gas.